वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So let us follow the line of thought, the last two verses that we saw, then this verse will make sense. Okay? The chapter 4 verse 18 said one thing. Okay? By moksha, what do we mean? Okay? Generally, when we talk about this whole law of karma, what we mean is that there is a cause and effect relationship. Your action is a cause and the effect is the result of that action. And that result of the action is not just a function of your immediate past action, but series of actions which are connected. Okay? So this is what we mean. Now, if this is the model, then how do you get out of this? You can't get out of it. Because if you do a good action, you will get a good result. If you don't do a good action, you get an inappropriate result. So therefore, you are caught in the cycle of cause and effect relationship, which is karma and karma phala. Result and that result for that action. Now, moksha is getting out of the whole thing. We are not talking about accumulating more, better results, right? Please understand, it's a very different thing, because generally people define their life by, if I do good, good things will happen to me. Moksha is not that, because this is within the model of karma. Moksha means you are getting out of this whole, exactly, right? This wheel of karma, because inappropriate actions will lead to what? Inappropriate, not very good results, and good actions will lead to favorable situations, but this is still, favorable situation is still considered to be a golden chain, so it still binds you. Okay? So therefore, the only way to get out is to question whether I am the doer or not. Okay? So that means what that the verse 18 of chapter 4, it said karmani akarma yav pashyet akarmani cha karma yaha. Okay? So therefore, now you need to re-examine. Whole Vedanta starts by being a good human being is a starting point, it's not an end. Okay? Being a good human being, you ask one more question: am I only this individual or am I something more than that? Okay? So that is a starting point of inquiry of Vedanta. And what you then discover is the fact that I am, if I do this whole Drisya Viveka, okay, what is something which is seen by me is not I by logic. Okay? And who I am is something which is an observer of different things. Then I discover that not only these bodies are something which are observed by me, but also this body is observed by me. I may have a special relationship with it as opposed to other bodies, that is true. Okay? But it doesn't make it into me. Right? And the other thing is also the mind. Just, I can't really observe your mind, because in fact only you can observe your mind. Okay? I can only infer what you are thinking based on what you say or your facial expression or whatever, and I can observe my mind, but still the relationship is that this is something which is observed by me, and whatever I observe by logic, I am free from it. Okay? I don't take on the attributes of something that I observe. This is logic. Okay? So therefore, what I discover myself to be is what? Awareness. In that awareness, can you attribute any action? You can't. You can attribute all the actions, whether there are 3 types of actions that we talk about. One is what we call Kaika Karma. Kaika Karma is physical action. Okay. Manasa Karma is what mental action. And Vachika Karma means karma where I use my speech. Okay. All 3 different actions that I perform is something which is known by me. It is variable. It comes and goes. Right? The mental actions that I perform when I pray for somebody's well-being, it's an action. Then it goes, it passes, then my next thought, right? So therefore, any physical action that I perform, it comes and goes, it's variable, it is changing. Any Vachika Karma, whether I am reciting something from Vedas or Bhagavad Gita or Quran or from wherever, right? Or I am creating my own prayer and saying, these are all what we call Vachika Karma.
So verbal actions.
Verbal actions, right? And therefore, verbal actions also include how I communicate with others, right? Because what I say, how I say it, these are all actions, okay? So therefore, these are the 3 types of actions and they produce the result.
What is the mind?
Manasa Karma, Kaika Karma and Vachika Karma. Okay? So these are the different types of actions that I can perform, and all these are something which are variable. Okay? And the Manasa Karma, I use my mind. In Vachika Karma, I use my organ of action and speech. And any other physical action that I do, I use my limbs, right? So all this is something which is not me. Who am I? I am that awareness which actually, because of which I observe what? The varying physical, mental, speech, all this is something which is changing, and whether it is my speech or your speech, it's constantly changing. Okay? Whether it is my physical action or your physical actions, these are constantly changing. Awareness, which is the observer of all these different things, itself is not subject to action. The minute I discover that, I falsify this whole karma model. Okay? I falsify because in order for karma model to work, I have to be an actor. Right? I have to be I need to look upon myself as a doer who performs either of these 3 actions. The minute I say, yes, these actions are performed, no doubt, okay? But where are they performed? The mind, as I saw, is an instrument. At that level, the mental action is performed. Speech is also a part of my organs of action, which is not me. So it is performed, but it is not at the level, I can't attribute it to awareness. Please understand. We are not denying it happening, but we are understanding the place where it happens, and we are undoing the mistake about what is I and where that happens. Where that happens is not I. Right? So therefore, I understand I am akarta. The minute I understand that I am akarta, and that awareness is not something which is confined to me in my body, but it is something which is all pervasive, what happens to all these different actions which are in my account?
They will not.
They all, this is what we call...
They exist outside
They exist outside me. So according to this whole model of karma, okay, as long as I am alive, they will continue. Right? This is what we call prarabdha karma. And what you understand is that it is not I, it is something which is happening, right? And I do have a special relationship with one body and one mind, and I have to use my discretion. It's not like I'm totally indifferent to whatever I do, but I just understand properly the relationship. Okay? So that prarabdha karma will remain until the time that it goes. But all the sanchita karma which is in my account, okay, of all the unused result of the action which are in my account, which gives me that I don't start experiencing the awareness through this body and mind, then because you are also experiencing awareness.
Yeah, so I am
So
here,
that
I'm
means-
limitless, I can see all these cards and they are confined, that's their
You
problem.
will not be there anymore. There will be
Exactly.
no there.
There'll be
Yeah,
no.
that is me.
See,
No,
no,
Till
Till
you're
you're alive.
alive. Me.
Till you are alive.
no, the eye and the awareness is basically the same.
Exactly.
The big eye.
The big
These are
eye.
part of the big
But
eye.
I don't.
One
So
way.
you're not going to feel this, oh, I'm
I'm
this
this.
great one. I have now become, I've attained moksha. These poor little things are still confined. It's no longer that feeling. You're just
In
not.
fact, you engage in the way you play a very important role. This is where sannyasa, it was described as somebody who will help others to remove this ignorance. Because unless you remove this ignorance, there is no way you can get rid of your suffering. Please understand that. The whole pursuit of moksha is, you have to understand, it's because of one very fundamental mistake that we are making. If you don't want to correct that mistake about who you are caught in this
Then you're caught in
cycle of
the cycle.
karma. Right? I am this much, I perform good actions, I receive result for that,
I'm beautiful,
receive
I'm
better
whatever,
for,
yeah.
exactly, so I'm caught.
No, but that's while you're here. When you're the awareness and you're released from all this, and you don't have a mind to project with, then how do you project?
No, but where are you putting your eye?
Now I'm going into the big eye, and I
So
don't have
the
my
big
attributes
eye
to do anything.
has Maya. This
So
is
your
what we
mind
said.
is not
So you-
projecting.
Your mind is not
But our mind is
projecting.
projecting.
The awareness, in the dream world, it is your mind which is projecting.
Exactly.
In
But
the
you're not
bigger
in the
level,
parallel
it's not
as
your
well.
mind which is projecting.
Okay.
It's not you who has created the sun and the moon and the planets and the
I
galaxies
thought it
and
was
all
an
that.
illusion, and you are projecting it.
No. So, in fact, what we are saying is, now let's come back to the other example of wave and the ocean. The wave, when it understands I am the water, doesn't physically become the ocean. Please understand. Right? It remains that wave which is part of that big ocean. Okay? Now, even if the wave becomes, in this particular lifetime, removes the ignorance and
Still
understands
water.
that my waveness is only a form, my true nature is water. Okay? Now, once the person understands, then does it mean that the whole ocean will cease to exist? No.
Not while you're still here.
And even after the wave disappears, the ocean
water
still remains. The water always exists and the ocean also always exists. Right? But coming into the world and experiencing as a wave goes away.
We are a phenomenon of time.
So therefore,
So the world is limited by time and space.
exactly, the world is limited by time and space, and that time and space itself has come, as we saw, the manifestation of this awareness has the knowledge and power to manifest. Okay? So in manifestation, the first thing that comes is time and space framework, and everything else is time and space framework. So what we say is, before it manifests, what was there? You can't say nothing was there. What we say is, that awareness with that potential to manifest was there. Okay? Then it manifests, it becomes unmanifest. It manifests,
It's very
it becomes
abstract to understand.
unmanifest.
It's really hard.
That's what
In
it's
fact-
so abstract to understand.
There
We
is,
should come back to
first,
No, how do we? How
there
do
is
we?
nothing abstract. I think
No,
it
no. I'm
seems-
just
yeah.
saying. I mean, this is. You feel as if you've
No,
understood
to
it.
understand awareness outside of time and space,
Yeah.
you can logically
Understand
explain
it
what
and you-
you are saying.
yes.
I can understand.
The
if
cup and the
Maya
wave and all
Shakti
that
and
is.
the Brahman, but still that
What it means to me in this existence, I still haven't quite.
No, that is a different question altogether. This is what we call Yoga Shastra. This is Brahma Vidya. Don't mix the two. The minute you start mixing the two, you're creating such a confusion in the mind, right? There are two subject matter.
Just it's the two basics of
First is understand when a scientist is looking into, right, what is the nature of the universe, he's not saying now how does it help me, he's not interfering there. You just need to understand the realities as they are. It has got nothing to do with, okay, tomorrow I have to make this decision, well, how will it help me? That will take you on a total tangent. when you're looking into realities, please look into the realities devoid of all, okay, what is my interest in tomorrow, what do I tell my child? That will make you so confused about the whole thing. You just need to understand things as they are, okay? Having understood this, then the next question is, yes, this I cannot deny. This reality I cannot deny, because there is no way anybody can contradict logically what it says. Then the question is, how do I first of all understand this reality accurately? How do I prepare my mind when I am not caught with all these small questions and small concerns which actually interfere with my understanding? Okay? And secondly, if I have understood things differently, how will I behave differently? That's the next question. Otherwise, you are just mixing the whole thing, which will not enable you to understand anything.
So our whole
Any higher inquiry is counterintuitive. Many things that we discover in any field is counterintuitive. You need an open mind. You can't say, I want to have the answers within this framework which I have defined. No learning takes place like that. You give me all the answers within this framework which I have believed to be right. Because in that framework is your suffering. And in that framework there is no answer.
See, so we've got to break our frame.
Exactly.
Because what we are trying to do, and I think we've said this before,
yes.
whatever you're saying, we are trying to put it into
your
what
existing,
into our existing
framework.
Right? And that's why it's very difficult to understand.
Exactly.
It's
Going back and getting confused and then coming back.
Exactly. So that means it's like a frog in a well, okay? And for that frog, the universe is defined as the well, because that's what the frog can see. Okay? Now he wants to live better in the world. Somebody says, "Oh, you want to live better in the world? Let me show you first what the world is," and takes him out. He says, "No, this is all too dangerous, because I have defined my world as this. You give me only the solution within this in my world. Doesn't exist. If you want to see the world, you have to come out of your comfort zone and really be alive to reality. Re-examine what is the nature of the universe. Re-examine what is your nature. Because unless you undo this very basic fundamental mistake that you have about yourself, there is no solution. The whole Bhagavad Gita, it says, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Dosha, Vidarshana. As long as you come as an individual, where you think I'm only this much, Janma is what? Birth. Birth itself is painful, right? When a child is coming out, both physically and emotionally. It's painful. Okay? Then, Mrityu, constantly I'm aware that what? All the loved ones are going to die. And I'm going to go one day. Mrityu. Impossible. Then you want freedom. It's impossible. Jara, old age. Yes, I'm trying very hard to survive, but then there is old age, where all my senses and mind, everything starts deteriorating. Then Vyadhi. Within this so-called young age, I have diseases. Both emotional afflictions and physical affliction. And I cannot stand any of that. And I want to be free. But I'm not willing to give up my individuality. You are caught in a cycle from where there is no solution. The only way to free yourself is knowing your true nature. Because in this assumption is a mistake. If I'm making you believe in something that you are limitless without giving you any arguments, then it can be said that I'm just, creating some kind of a euphoria which is not connected to reality. This knowledge is something, this is why it is backed by so much reasoning, so much analysis, which even the quantum physicists cannot deny. It's not just ordinary or make-believe kind of a thing where I'm making you think, oh yeah, you're limitless. It's not like that.
But it is quantum physics, right?
Sorry?
It is sort of quantum physics, right?
It is
It's a step beyond.
It's,
Exactly.
I mean, as we get closer and closer in quantum physics, it's just getting closer and closer to
Closer
this.
to Vedanta,
I mean,
absolutely, right? So that means it is about reality. You can't just say, oh yeah, what will it
It
do
is
for
the
me?
only possible explanation beyond that last understanding.
Exactly. And this is something, this is why the physicists come to Vedanta and they are in awe, because where they cannot go, where they cannot go, the only possibility which is a logically viable possibility is what Vedanta
but they're
says.
getting there,
And they're getting
physically.
there.
I mean, with the
Yeah.
Hadron Collider and the God particle and the whole idea of God being
The whole
symmetry.
God particle.
And
I mean,
singularity.
It's singularity. It's
Exactly.
like, I mean,
So it's not ordinary. Please don't try to fit Vedanta into your limited framework, because it's so limited. It is like, going to a quantum physicist and saying, okay, now you know some little, fix my bulb here, because you know science. Yeah. What he can do and what you are using him for, it is confined by what? Your little mind and its concerns.
Sorry, I don't know if any of you have spoken, but occasionally when I tell my husband or something, it's the reaction is always, and you had told me, don't talk about it too much, because the reaction always is that they want to put what you're saying into their framework, and it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It does not make. It's like the frog. It
Exactly.
just.
I don't even
They
try to
can't
tell it.
see that.
It's also very hard to get into these discussions without having the full
Yes,
picture idea.
yes, absolutely.
I tend to just stay away and say,
Absolutely.
I cannot answer your question
Yeah, yeah.
as yet.
Yeah.
I don't think I will.
I'm good with it, and I don't. If you want to come, you come.
Yeah.
Your own pace, and stop nothing.
Because when I'm making a statement, I'm not just telling what I think.
Yeah.
There is this huge knowledge of analysis, all the commentaries of Upanishads and how big scholars have analyzed. The whole thing is in the background. I extract from this wealth of knowledge what I need to extract in order for you to understand. You just don't have this whole big breadth, and within that you try to kind of explain to others. It doesn't work.
I also read somewhere that the way Adi Shankaracharya has done this, the way we're negating as opposed to defining, is because it's too big for us to understand our
One
finite mind
lifetime
to
will enough
define.
to all the
No,
Upanishads.
in fact, the Upanishads do two jobs. It first negates and then it defines. It defines.
But it doesn't limit the definition.
Now that is another very, very evolved, it's all very highly analyzed, right? How does it define? Okay, and there is a big discussion of that. So that's why any statement that you make, there is this whole big analysis behind it. Okay, and therefore, if I were to explain to you how the defining takes place without limiting it, I need to get into one whole big
It's the idea that you're saying that the finite mind doesn't always have the capacity to understand yet.
But it has a methodology. What is amazing about Upanishad is it has a sophisticated methodology for
I just
thinking.
wanted that.
Okay? So therefore, if anything, retaining your vision of the world and you fit in Vedanta, you're lost forever. And you actually will never get anywhere. You have to fine-tune your mind so that you can understand the subtlety of reasoning that Vedanta gives to show you the reality, which is so different from what you think. But Upanishads don't just leave you with this reality, it also tells you how to grow as an individual so that you can remove your angularities and subjectivity so that you can live this vision. So it actually works on both parts. Not only the vision part. This is Brahma Vidya. The other one is Yoga Shastra. We talked about Karma Yoga, we talked about Raga Dvesha, we talked about taking care of subjectivity. All this, how can you say, how does this help me in my living my life better? But it doesn't confuse the two subject matter. That is the beauty of it. That's what clarity is. When I'm making decisions, there is a different framework, which is what? The laws. Okay? Even though this awareness is manifesting in all these names and forms, it is not random manifestation, there are laws. So when I'm making the decision, I become aware of the laws. Very, very clear. I don't use this knowledge, I'm awareness, and confuse my decision making with this. It's just clarity all the way. It's like a quantum physicist, when he does research, he understands very well that gold is nothing but atoms and iron is nothing but atoms. He doesn't say, okay, now how does it help me? Because when I need to buy gold, and if I take it as iron, how will it help me? Hey, that is not the question here. But when the anniversary of his wife comes and he has to give a gift, he doesn't confuse between iron and gold. He is very lucid. He understands, yes, they are both nothing but atoms and particles, but they are organized in a different way, which do produce two different objects with different qualities. He is not confused. And here, there are different qualities, and I have to make the decision depending upon what is appropriate.
Yeah, this is a good thing, this gold. It
Yeah.
makes it very clear.
It's like so clear. Okay? Where there are differences, you can't deny the differences. And this is why Ishvara is very, very thoroughly analyzed. You know, this, how does this whole creation come about? How, you know, what is the cause? What is the nature of the cause? Where is it? All, how does it manifest in the universe is very much part of inquiry of Vedanta. Last time he was saying that there are so many of these neo-Vedantins, New Age, and they have just taken some simple aspects of Vedanta and they have just omitted the very sophisticated inquiry and all-encompassing inquiry, and just highlighted one aspect, which does so much damage because you don't understand the whole picture and you just try to mix up things, and then it creates more confusion than just a normal human being. It's better not to study Vedanta than to study it halfway because it's too dangerous. Your limitation is something which is a reality from a given standpoint. Nobody is denying that. Okay? On that limitation, if you impute limitlessness, you are making such a big error. If you retain your I in the physical body and start imagining that it is limitless, if you retain your I in your mind and start imagining that it is limitless, you are like a psycho case. So that's why when Vedanta talks about oneness, that there is one reality which is the basis of the whole thing, whole creation, and where that reality is available to you. The whole forms are nothing but forms within forms, within forms, within forms. Nobody can deny it. And where is that one reality which is because of which the entire manifestation is possible? That reality is given to you as nature of I am. It is self-evident to you. And what is the nature of mistake? That self-evident I you have taken as what? This. This is the nature of mistake. And it makes you see that.
Can you just re-say what you said about it being completely dangerous to put limitless something into the individual?
Absolutely. See, for example, there are books which I have written. There is this fact that what Upanishads talk about is this awareness. And as I told you, this awareness is distinct from conscious, subconscious, all these, it's completely distinct from it. Now imagine you make a mistake and you retain your I in all these different functions which are variable, and you start thinking that this is limitless. In that, there is such a big danger, because then you think that this whole subconscious, which is just one, I can manipulate. Oh my God, you can't manipulate. that's where comes the book that you rethink and the whole universe will what? Align itself to your thought. These are all offshoots of actually coming from Vedanta and highly distorted. Highly distorted, and it is dangerous. Because after those books were written, then what everybody, there were billions of copies which were sold, and then everybody would imagine what? The best for them, and came 2008, 2009, the world economic and financial crisis, which kind of brought about so much misery to so many people. So if the world acted according to your wishes, where billions of people wanted to be the wealthiest in the world, and what was the outcome? And you will be able to prevent all kind of diseases, you will be able to prevent the death, I mean you will be able to basically do whatever you want. The world does not work like that. Where there is a limitation, there is a limitation. Body is limited. The mind, which has many different functions, is limited. Who are you? You are none of them, right? You are that awareness which is attribute-free awareness. It is not connected to either one mind or many minds or collective minds, because they are changing all the time. It is one without which the awareness, without which the minds cannot exist. Before the minds come into being, awareness is. While the mind is doing its job, different minds are doing their job, awareness is. When those minds cease to exist and new minds come into being, awareness is. This is the vision of Upanishads. And try to find one argument which will contradict what Upanishads say. It's not ordinary. Then it explains, if all that is here is awareness, how did the world come about? It explains. Then, what is so difficult about, let's say, manifestation and unmanifestation? Right now, you look at the world. 1 minute has come into manifestation and is gone. What was unmanifest has come into manifestation, and after being manifest, it has become unmanifest. This is what Upanishad talks about as the overall level. Constantly the world, while it is existing, it is constantly changing from manifest to the unmanifest. What is difficult? What is abstract? This is life. This is how things are. Take out this whole thing that Vedanta is difficult and abstract. It's not. It's showing you realities which is making you see things accurately and not from your own imagination. If there are realities, you have no choice but to align your thinking to those realities. Otherwise, you are living in your own world. And from that world you want solutions, it doesn't exist. So therefore, in that while things are becoming manifest and unmanifest, there is one reality which sustains all the variables. That reality, you are. Bodies are varying, the minds are varying, everything is in a constant flux. And in fact, not only it's in a constant flux, but when I inquire into the reality of any one thing, while I'm inquiring into it, it disappears. This is what we call Satyam and Mithya. Not only the table disappears, as I have seen this whole idea of Satyam and Mithya, that not only the table was not there before, and now it is there, and
Oh,
it
and
will
it's
cease to
time
exist.
bound. Yeah.
So it is time bound. That is one aspect of looking at the world.
Yeah.
The second aspect of looking at the same table is actually not that while it is existing in time, which is let's say 50 years or so, okay, and there are constant changes happening at what? The atomic level,
Yeah.
micro level, right? So I shift based on realities. First I thought that yes, the table is changing because it was not there before it came into existence, and it will cease to exist when this breaks. Okay? Then I said, hey, things are not only because of that, the table is changing, but while it is seemingly existent, it is also changing constantly, 1 second to the other. Then I go to the third level, that this table that I think is changing now, let me look as to, is this table really real? And then we saw that this table has a dependent reality. It depends upon the wood itself depends upon the cells, then the cells, atoms, particles, and ultimately it just becomes a concept because there is no tangible. And that concept cannot exist without awareness. So that means everything has a dependent existence, and awareness is the only thing which has independent existence. And that's why awareness is limitless, because not only it pervades everything, it is the truth. The whole world is mithya. It is in which the entire universe resolves. Because just as the table is like that, the planets are like that, the stars are like that, human bodies are like that, everything is like that.
Except awareness.
Except awareness. This is the truth. Find a way to contradict this truth. It is impossible. Okay. So, with this, I will end the class, or we didn't even get to our verse.
It was a great class.
It was just superb.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
So, now, should I do a little bit? I would like to at least one verse, if possible, or
Yeah,
it's too much.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay.
No, this is the same Vicky's, but you just put it all, it's all come together.
But if the verse is going to move away from this, then don't hold with this, because it's just
Okay,
so
it
much
is so much. Okay, then
that you've
let's.
said to us that
Yes.
just actually just to put a closure to
No, it
this.
is closing the verse only, it is, it's the culmination, this verse.
It is
She was talking
actually.
about the next
So we're
I
starting the
was
next one.
actually,
We were
I wanted to go
18,
two more.
Yeah.
No, I
We
mean
were still
today's class
discussing
was
last one.
superb, Neema. It
Yeah.
was superb.
No, where do you want to?
We were doing the karta.
2021.
No, awareness does not perform in action, right? That is something that you have to understand. Now, in order to understand one's true nature, this next verse was talking about, it's not something which is very easy because it is counterintuitive. And years, and if you think about what cycles of creations, what association with body and mind, when that gets questioned and when that gets, there is a resistance. That is something which is totally expected. Teacher knows it because the teacher himself was a student, and the student as a student, there was a lot of resistance. That is something which is absolutely fine. Okay? Now, so therefore, what it says is, it takes time before you understand the whole thing accurately. Okay? And not, I think who was saying, Sakar was saying, Sakar sometimes makes really nice statements. What she says is, when we receive Vedanta, we already have an existing framework of what things are. And you use Vedanta to somehow fit into your existing framework. It doesn't happen. In fact, it will put you, because yours is a limited framework, within that you know, put this teaching, it will not work. You will further distort it. Okay? So therefore, what you try to do is remove the framework or expand the framework so that you're aligned, your thinking is aligned to what is. Okay? So that takes time. In fact, even if you go in any discipline, it takes time. You go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, in one day you can change the way you think? No, it takes time. Here it is a very fundamental shift, it will take time. Okay? So therefore, in that time, what do? There are two lifestyles available. One is what you call karma yoga and the second is sannyasa. What is sannyasa? You are going to say that yes, oh my God, this is a big vision to know. I am going to give up everything else and I am just going to devote, my life to this understanding. That is one choice. The other choice is, I am going to continue to do what I am doing, right? But this teaching is going to become part of my life. Okay? So therefore, you are pursuing this knowledge and at the same time continuing to live. Okay? And through the experiences that you go through, what are you trying to gain? The maturity. Okay? So that whole lifestyle is called karma yoga. Okay? So therefore, there is sannyasa and then there is karma yoga. What did Lord Krishna say last time? It says that sannyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptum ayogata. Okay? If you take sannyasa prematurely, what will happen?
Sorrow and pain.
Because all the issues, like
Unresolved.
Unresolved. Okay? So therefore, in the position of a teacher, first of all, you will not do justice, because if you have not worked on your mind and the mind is a projecting mind, it will project on the teaching and it will distort it. Okay? So you will start a tradition which is what? A distorted tradition. And that is a big danger. How many people are teaching Vedanta, and if you really examine the accuracy with which they are giving the ideas, if they are not, they are actually misguiding very good human beings who want to learn things. Okay? So that means you are not doing any service, but while you are playing the role of a teacher, then there is a certain Guru Shishya. In that role, all your unaddressed feelings and emotions will all start to manifest. How will it manifest? In various ways. Okay? You need nurturing, you have not had success, and through these students you want to be famous. Your whole focus is, how can I become a famous teacher of Vedanta, and not how can I share this knowledge in the best way. The second way, how can I extract money from all these people? All these different ways. You need nurturing. You have not had money, you have not been successful. This becomes a good way to inspire people and take lakhs and crores in contribution.
In a lot of ways, as a karma yogi, when you understood the reality, your intentions of action change, and
That's the main difference.
That's really the
It's not
absolute
law of intention.
Because logically, if you think about it, once you discover the reality, really, it's sannyas.
That's what we
Really,
that's
it's
what,
sannyas.
yeah.
So
You can't
But-
stop doing.
But the thing is that it is not so easy to have all these right values.
At
If you
at
have
every
these-
moment.
But
At
you know,
every
gold and
moment.
iron are the same. How can you value gold? But you still have to understand that gold can buy you. But is it important to buy? It's just
every
such
day
a-
there's another
I mean,
level you
it's
have
like
to reach, like.
a very difficult thing that you kind of said, I've understood this, but I can't act all the way.
At the
So
end of the
I
day,
do
you have to
still
eat and you have to
trust.
clothe yourself, and even
See,
if you don't want gold.
this way, because this is why Ishvara is so important, Parnas, right? Because awareness is never affected regardless of what you do. Whether it's a criminal or a saint, the actions don't affect awareness. This is a fact, okay? But still, between a saint and a thief, there is a difference. And how they experience a life is different. And this is governed by laws of Ishvara. Nobody can bypass the laws. And this is why in your in the whole process of growth, understanding those laws and aligning your life with those laws is something which is very much required, because in that is the sanity, and only when the person has sane mind it can understand Vedanta. Otherwise you'll keep on projecting all your own silly ideas on Vedanta, and there is never an end. So that whole growth is really understanding the life and aligning yourself to Ishvara, and then you are blessed with this knowledge. Okay? So therefore it says sannyasa is a lifestyle which is an important lifestyle, which is not bad or anything, but if you take it prematurely, okay, then there is a danger. Whereas yoga yukta munihi brahma na achirena dikanchati. Okay? If you are a karma yogi, you change the intention behind your actions. Before, what did we do? Our actions were to satisfy our raga and dvesha. Raga means something that I like, and I want to get what I like, and I want to avoid what I dislike. The whole orientation for my performing action is raga dvesha based. What it says now is you make your actions based on what? Antakarana Shuddhi. Antakarana Shuddhi means I need to now work on myself so that I don't act just based on my likes and dislikes, but what? For my personal growth, so that I can understand this knowledge. The whole life becomes what? The actions, the focused units. Okay. So this is what we say, the Karma Yoga. Now, you think that once the person has gained the maturity which is required, then the better life is what? Sannyasa. Right? Because the person has already gained the maturity, and now the person is only doing this. Even that, Lord Krishna is saying, not necessarily. Okay? So here, the next verses are very interesting. He says, Naiva kinchit karomi hi yukto manyeta tattvavita Pashyan shrunvan sprushan jignan Ashnan gachan swapan shvasan Pralapan visrujan vrunnan Mundimishan nimishan napi Indriyan indriyateshu Vartanta iti dharayan. So one would think that if ultimate discovery is Atma is akarta, Atma does not perform any action, and if you are ready, then sannyasa is closer to that reality, because you have given up all the different roles, right? And you then want to know Atma is not the doer, and relatively you have given up the roles. Okay? So you are moving closer towards so-called actionlessness. What Lord Krishna wants to show you is doing or not doing any action does not take you closer to actionlessness. It is knowing the nature of Atma which is actionlessness. Don't think that by giving up role you are moving closer to actionlessness. Here he says that once the Tattvavid, Nahi kinchit karomi iti yukto manyeta Tattvavid. Tattvavid is the one who is the knower of the truth. Knower of the truth about what is the nature of Atma. That person, right, understands I am not the doer. Na naiva kinchit karomi. I do not do anything. Okay? While doing. Okay? So here he uses present participle. Present participle means what? Present continuous participle. Pashyat, while seeing. Okay? Shrunvan, while hearing. Okay? Then sparshan, while touching. Jignan, while smelling. Ashnan, eating. Gachan, walking. Swapan, sleeping. Shwasan, breathing. Pralapan, talking. Visrujan, releasing. Grunnan, grasping. Unmishan, opening. nimishan, closing. Okay? All these different activities, while these activities are going on, the person takes oneself to be actionless. Exactly, Leela.
So it is my nose that is smelling, my ears that are hearing, my eyes that I am not doing it.
Awareness, on that awareness you can't impute toward devotion. Right? So therefore, exactly. Indriyani indriyartheshu vartanta iti dhane. There is a sense object outside. My sense organs are engaging in that. It's true. But awareness does not at any given point in time perform an action. This is the truth. This is the reality. Okay? So here he says, I do not do anything at all, right? But it does not mean, now this particular verse is very, very critical that we understand it properly. If the person has not understood this reality and the person does not see clearly the nature of awareness, okay, and the person very superficially starts saying, oh, I'm hitting Vela, it's only my hand which is doing it, I'm not doing it, this is dangerous. You become irresponsible. In psychological terms, this is what we call dissociation. Dissociation means what? I'm denying certain things which are happening. Okay? I'm angry. Oh, but awareness never gets angry. Problem. Because at the level of anger, what do I need to do? Bring Tattva Bodha, Shama and Dama. We always forget and we always mix up. The anger, which is, yes, it is happening at the level of sense organs, I need an appropriate intervention. What is the appropriate intervention? It has got nothing to do with Atma or anything. What is the appropriate intervention? We saw twofold interventions. What are the twofold interventions? One is Dhamma, I'm angry. Instead of denying it, I acknowledge it, but I don't victimize others. I can always use my discretion as to how I'm going to express.
So where the three different do I not well do it?
Exactly. Kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyathava kartum shakyam. Okay. This is what is talked about in Vedanta. We forget, we are unable to contain the whole vision of Vedanta and apply it accurately. We get carried away and use one concept all over. It doesn't exist like that. Clarity means you need to, understand each part accurately and what? Bring out the part which is necessary at that given point in time. This is called clarity of thinking. Otherwise, it's all a mix-up. Okay. What is Shama? Shama is, okay, I have not acted and I have not victimized anybody because of my anger, but I have certain responsibility to process. Look, where this big anger is coming from.
Often you victimize yourself.
Exactly.
Which is also wrong.
That is also wrong. Right? Not expressing it, but then you victimize yourself. So that means you need to sort out cognitively what's happening.
So you should rationalize.
So you need to. Once you understand that, your capacity to deal with anger is what? Much better. Over a period of time, it will decrease. Okay? But denying, right? Oh, I'm spiritual, so therefore I should not have anger, right? Or, oh, Atma is always free, so let this anger be. These are irresponsible way of understanding Vedanta.
Acceptance and then
Intelligent intervention based on realities. And bringing to my understanding and awareness the realities which will help me to deal with that situation.
Baba, go in the kitchen.
Accurately. So this is what is this person not irresponsibly doing it, right? Not a psychological dissociation or a make-believe thing, not superficially saying things, but really understanding where the actions are taking place and what is. Okay. So this is the vice versa. This is actually good. Yeah. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.